Welcome to the More We Know channel. We're diving straight into a massive unfolding crisis today. Picture this, a breathtaking landscape hiding a deeply complex web of legal loopholes, sudden environmental disasters, and catastrophic systemic failures. In this explainer, we're pulling back the curtain on the shadow over Nepal, specifically looking at the urgent crisis surrounding women and child safety. You're going to want to hear this, so let's get right into it.
To understand what's really going on, we have to start with a hot August afternoon that brought the Tribhuvan Highway to a complete grinding halt. This is a vital, busy transport route, right? And suddenly, it's totally blocked by furious, angry residents who absolutely refuse to back down. So you have to ask yourself, what could possibly trigger such a massive, spontaneous protest?
Well, the suspense that gripped the entire Bara district ended in absolute, unimaginable tragedy. It started on day one. A 4-year-old little girl named Garima was literally lured away from her home in Simara with just a simple piece of chocolate. By day 3, the unthinkable happened. She was found murdered in an abandoned house, and the main suspect, a 16-year-old minivan helper. So by day 4, the sheer heartbreak and outrage of that community just boiled over into that massive highway blockade we just talked about.
But here's the thing you need to grasp. This crisis absolutely spans generations. We just looked at what happened to a trusting toddler in Bara, but over in Ramechhap, a 61-year-old single woman was attacked in her very own home by a 21-year-old man. It's horrifying, but it shows us that no demographic, literally no age group, is immune to this violence right now.
To actually understand why this keeps happening, we've got to dig into the legal framework. Let's look at the phrase Jabar Justi Karani. This is the legal term for rape in Nepal, literally defined as sexual contact without consent. But here's the massive hurdle. It is a really complex, multisyllabic legal phrase. Studies are showing that a lot of women are completely unaware of this specific terminology. It's basically creating a language barrier that leads to some seriously shocking underreporting.
And when cases are reported, under Section 219 of the Maluki Criminal Code, prison sentences are actually strictly mapped out based entirely on the victim's age. For instance, for victims under 10, the sentence is 16 to 20 years. On paper, that looks pretty robust, right? But as you're about to see, having laws perfectly mapped out on the page doesn't always equal true justice in reality.
55,000 rupees. Just sit with that number for a second. That incredibly paltry financial settlement is exactly what mediators in a Saptari village used to silence a 17-year-old rape victim. Instead of actually pursuing those strict prison sentences we just talked about, she was offered cash and pressured into a milapatra. That's a forced compromise just to keep her quiet. And tragically, she ended up taking her own life shortly after.
This right here is a catastrophic systemic loophole. You have police and local mediators frequently acting as these shady go-betweens, basically pushing for off-the-books milapatra settlements instead of actually going after real judicial convictions. By doing this, they're fundamentally protecting the offenders and completely denying survivors the justice they so desperately need.
When we zoom out and look at the data over the last 25 years, the sheer scale of this crisis is just undeniable. We're talking over 17,000 reported rape incidents, plus another 6,000 attempted rapes. But hey, remember those silenced victims we just mentioned? Because of those mediators pushing for quiet little payouts, the true number of these crimes is likely way, way higher than the official statistics.
And even despite those thousands of reports, conviction rates across all of South Asia are hovering around just 65%. That means a full 35% of cases are either completely unresolved or just entirely dismissed. It leaves this massive gaping justice gap for survivors. It's literally a failure at the finish line.
But it doesn't stop at the legal system. External factors act like massive multipliers to this crisis. Think about what happens when environmental disasters strike, like those devastating earthquakes Nepal is so prone to. Overnight, already vulnerable populations are suddenly left severely exposed to exploitation and the very real threat of human trafficking.
Take a place like the remote Langtang region, for example. We're talking homes completely wiped out and pregnant women instantly losing all access to medical care. When you combine that sudden chaotic displacement with the historical marginalization of certain communities, like the Tamang people, you inadvertently create this highly dangerous breeding ground. It's an absolute goldmine for cross-border dalal, which is the local term for human traffickers.
Now, I know this is a lot of heavy information, but this explainer isn't just about despair, it's actually a roadmap for real change. Step 1 starts exactly with what we saw at the very beginning, everyday residents blocking highways and boldly demanding accountability. Step 2 requires investing in locally led solutions. And Step 3, that's where global advocacy comes into play.
The good news is, incredible grassroots initiatives are already stepping up to the plate. Organizations like Women Lead Nepal are operating right in the heart of these crises. They're out there building temporary learning centers and handing out education kits to at-risk girls. They're even setting up economic alternatives, like locally led goat farming programs. These kinds of on-the-ground actions drastically improve safety and help break the cycle of trafficking for good.
I think the crucial point here is captured perfectly by a quote from Girls Globe. They said, "One of the most powerful ways you can create change and keep women and girls in Nepal healthy and safe is through using your voice." Look, we obviously can't all physically be over there passing out education kits in Nepal, but our sustained attention and our absolute refusal to look away is actually a really powerful weapon against this kind of exploitation.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. How are you going to use your voice to keep the health and rights of women in Nepal at the forefront of the global conversation? Having the knowledge is only the very first step, so take what you've learned today, share it with someone else, and let's help pull these shadows out into the light. Thanks for tuning in to the More We Know channel.